Fala pessoal, aqui é Miguel, eu tô com o Peyton Reed, o diretor de Homem-Formiga Quantumania. Hi Peyton, how are you?
I'm doing
How
well.
Brazil is treating you so far?
It's amazing. I mean, the reaction from the fans at Comic-Con was unbelievable. I mean, it was so loud. The decibel levels, it was like being at a football game. It was unbelievable. And for us, you know, this being our third Ant-Man movie, you know, it's not that long ago that we didn't know necessarily we would be able to make a third Ant-Man movie. But to see the fans and how excited they are about these characters is really gratifying.
Yes, that's my first question for you. Your third movie with the Evangeline Lilly and Paul Rudd, how different is for the other movies? It get easier with time or get more difficult?
I think the movies, do they get easier with time? This one, we decided to not make it easy on ourselves. We wanted to make a movie here that was a very epic movie. I mean, the other Ant-Man movies have been pretty epic, but this one, we wanted to paint on a gigantic canvas and really bring the audience down with our characters into the quantum realm. And that really meant figuring out all these different technologies and methodologies about how to create the quantum realm. You know, all the different looks of the world and sort of the internal logic of the quantum realm, and the characters in it and the creatures in it, and that for me was so much fun, because, you know, I grew up on everything. I read a lot of science fiction as a kid, and, you know, of course grew up with Star Wars and Star Trek and everything, and this was sort of our version of being able to create a whole world.
Let's talk about Jonathan Majors, because I think I'm not the only one has obsessed with him.
Yes.
I think he one of the coolest people that joined the MCU.
Yes.
How early did you guys, the Quantumania team, know that Marvel Studios was going to introduce Jonathan as Kang on Loki, and how was different your version of Kang that we saw in Loki season 1?
When we made the decision that, you know, I talked to Kevin Feige way back about let's give Ant-Man and Wasp a real villain in this movie, and we talked about Kang the Conqueror, who was always one of my favorites in the comics. So when we decided to bring him in, it was who was going to play this character, and we needed somebody who had range, and who had real physical presence, and was also a very serious actor. And Jonathan was my first choice. I mean, from the first time I saw him in a movie, in a very small role, in a movie called Hostiles with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
You couldn't take your eyes off of him. He's such and he was doing very little in that scene, and he's such a talented actor. And Jonathan and I worked really hard. I gave Jonathan a couple of books to read about sort of my feeling about Kang the Conqueror and what he was going to be like. And I think for an actor, Kang the Conqueror in our movie is a very different character than He Who Remains in Loki.
Yeah.
They're variants, but they could not be more difficult. And Kang the Conqueror is, you know, he's the worst of the bunch. He's a force.
I can't wait to see here in action, because the footage that we saw last night was incredible. He's so threatening. I can't wait to see more. My next question is for Katheryn Newton. I was obsessed with her too, because I saw Freak, the movie with Vince Vaughn, and for what we saw in the trailer, maybe for me, Casey was going to be largely responsible for get the gang with the quantum helm.
Yes.
How was working with her to create this Casey more adult, more teenage Casey? Sorry.
Well, I love Katheryn Newton's work. I think she's really exciting, and, you know, that was one of the fun things about this movie is Cassie's now 18. So Scott can't relate to her like a kid now. She's an adult. She's grown, and she has her own ideas about doing good in the world, and she doesn't always agree with her dad's point of view. And like any daughter of that age with their father, she's sometimes very critical of Scott. Yeah. That seemed like a fun dynamic. And Katheryn was an actress who felt like you could put her in scenes with Paul Rudd, and she's going to be able to hang with Paul, because Paul's very fast and funny. And when we first started rehearsing, you could just see they were really great together. And so I'm really excited to bring Katheryn into this movie.
Yes. My last question is, do you have a favorite moment in the movie or a favorite scene so far, without telling me everything, because, you know, is Marvel is very secret and very, you know,
I do. I do have I have a couple of favorite scenes. How to tell you without spoiling the movie is a challenge. But I think one of the interesting things about Kang, and they both involve Kang, is that Kang is a real threat to our heroes in this movie on a multiversal level. but also on a very personal level.
Yes.
And that's exciting to me. And I just dodged your question because I can't spoil anything in the movie. But yes, I do.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you have a great time here in Brazil. And maybe your next project, you can come here again and we can chat again.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I've loved it here. Everybody's so warm and welcoming, and that response, I will never forget that response at Comic-Con.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice. Thank
All right,
you.
You too.